Hello, my friends. Welcome back to our second week of Real. I hope that you guys had an amazing week and that it was spent with a lot of people that love you so much. But as we are going to be talking about Real this whole month and how we can talk about real friendships in our lives, I have a question to ask you guys. Who was a real friend to you this week and why? So while you guys think about that, I'm gonna give a little shout out to a friend while you guys put some of your shout outs in the chat. So as you guys know, I am back to school in college, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but textbooks are really expensive. Like you don't even know until you know type of expensive. But I usually make a habit out of not buying any textbooks, and just using PowerPoints until I really need to get a textbook, because half the time teachers just copy and paste stuff from the textbook and put it on PowerPoints. So I usually make an effort to be like, you know what, I'll wait it out because I've wasted quite a bit of money on some textbooks that I really didn't need. But this year in school, I had this one teacher, and this professor is a little mean, and she kind of made it a point that we might fail if we didn't have the textbook. So I was like, maybe I should buy this textbook. Maybe. I don't really want to fail my course. But I decided to wait it out a little bit, ask some friends who were in the same program to see if they had this textbook. And lo and behold, my dear friend Micah came to the rescue, and she found somebody who had the exact same textbook, so they're letting me borrow it for the semester. And Micah, if you're listening to this, shout out to you because you saved your girl a couple bucks. But that is my shout out for this week. But we're gonna take a quick question break pause while you guys are already down there in the chat, and I'm gonna give you guys 30 seconds to answer this question. What's the difference between a real friend and a fake friend? Go. Okay, I hope that you guys were able to drop some of those down in the chat below. But when we think about it, we really do need real friends in our lives that are able to kind of hype us up every once in a while. Think about a TV show. This is a very common scene in some TV shows where the main character is feeling really down and they're feeling like they want to give up on the mission that they have, and then the side character comes out of nowhere and does this very motivational speech. Birds are flying everywhere, and you hear a choir come out in the background, and all of a sudden the main character's like, yeah, I can do it. I know you guys have probably seen a TV show or can think of some that have that exact scene, but sometimes we need a friend like that in our lives. Someone who can see when we're feeling down and they're able to just motivate us and hype us up to do better. And the good thing about real friends is that they're not only there to really hype you up and make you feel better, but sometimes we need a good friend to just call us out when we're maybe going the wrong way. And maybe a couple scenarios came to your mind. Maybe you were thinking of a time where there might have been a friend who saw that you were going off track and they wanted to really help you and they called you out. Or maybe you're thinking about a time where you had to call a friend out. Or maybe you've been in a situation where you see a friend going off track, but you wish that you said something, but you decided not to. And maybe these times were because somebody made a bad decision, an unwise decision, maybe even a dangerous decision, or maybe they hurt somebody. There are so many ways as to why we might want to call somebody out and kind of help them get back on track. But sometimes we forget in our own selfishness that our actions can have consequences. Maybe you guys have been in a place where you did something that hurt somebody, and sometimes you forget that there's consequences to that. So the question is, what do we do when a friend messes up? Is it our job to be a real friend and say something? Should we just wait to see if they figure it out themselves? Well, we're gonna talk about it a little bit more. I could think back to a time where I had somebody call me out, and I honestly, truly admired that they did. So in high school, I made it my personality to be a really petty person. So I would get mad really easily. I would cut people off really quickly. I just wanted it to be known that people shouldn't mess with me because I'm a petty person. Really try to make my personality around that. But in the works of doing that, I ended up losing quite a bit of friends because do we want to be friends with somebody who is cutting people off and getting mad all the time? Not really. But at the time, I was so focused on making this my personality and standing out in high school that I didn't realize it was hurting the people around me. And because of that, one day I had a group of friends, and these guys are real friends, and they pulled me aside and they basically told me that what I was doing had hurt them. Seeing the way that I was treating people, seeing how I wasn't acting like myself, seeing how my actions had hurt people was something that they felt that they needed to call me out on. And because they took the step to actually call me out on those things, I was able to recognize how hurtful I was being. Because at the time, that really wasn't my focus. But because of those real friends in my life, I was able to see the wrong that I was doing. And this is why having real friends is so important, because they know who you are truly. If you have some really good friends that you're thinking of right now, they know basically the insides and out of who you are. They might know what makes you laugh. They might know what food you hate the most. They might know when your birthday is. And these are the friends that take the time to know who you are truly. And when they see you going in a different direction, we need people to call us out to get back to who we were before. And it's also important for us to remember to be that friend to others. Sometimes it can feel awkward. I know I've had to have conversations with people where I had to call them out on something that they were doing wrong. And it's not always fun. Sometimes people feel offended. Sometimes people might get angry. Sometimes there's different outcomes when we call people out on something. But if you're a real friend, you should be able to call those things out because you love them so much. But I think that's something that we should talk about that encompasses all of this is grace. And I feel like the simplest way to explain grace is giving a gift to somebody that they don't deserve. So this could be the gift of loving somebody. This could be the gift of being kind to somebody. It could be the gift of forgiving somebody. There are different ways that we can show grace to other people. You guys can see the word grace all over the Bible, but today we're gonna hone in on a specific story in Acts about a man named Saul. So if you guys don't know Saul, I'll give you guys a quick little recap. Basically, he killed Christians. That's what he was known for. I know that's a big thing to be known for. It's not great to kill people, but that's what he was known for. So one day as Saul was traveling, he saw a bright light from heaven. And basically God had called him out and he asked him, why are you killing the Christians? Why are you killing my people? And as a result of God calling him out in that really bright light, Saul ended up becoming blind. And because he was blind, Saul did not want to eat, he didn't want to sleep. But during that whole time, God was speaking to another man to heal Saul's blindness. And after 3 days, the two of them met up and Saul was able to see again. And he was nervous, like what was gonna happen when Saul opened his eyes. But instead of continuing his killing, Saul changed his life around and began preaching the word of Jesus. And you guys might be thinking, why didn't he stay blind? Maybe he should have been murdered for what he was doing because he was killing so many innocent people. But God called him out and showed him grace in that moment. And sometimes when we look at our friendships in our lives, we need to call people out, but also show them grace. Maybe you might have a really close friend who might have done something that hurt you. And you, in that moment, might need to show them the grace of showing them love still, because maybe they were having a bad day, maybe there's stuff going on at home. We never know why people might be having outbreaks or maybe being rude to you. But when we show them grace in those moments and maybe show them some patience as they're figuring things out, showing them love as they're figuring things out, we can be showing who God is in the way that we show them grace. So I have a challenge for you guys this week. I want to challenge you guys to show people grace. Maybe it's time for you to send a text to somebody. Maybe you had someone who was a really good friend in your life that you guys ended up cutting off each other and things didn't work out. Maybe it's time for you to send them a text. Maybe there's someone in your life that needs to receive some forgiveness. Maybe there's somebody that you need to apologize to. There's different ways that we can show grace, and being a real friend means that we give grace to others. Something that I'm so thankful for is that I have God's grace. And some of you guys at home may be feeling the same. Like, we have the privilege to have this gift that we don't deserve when we mess up, when we do wrong, and we have received that grace. Now it's time for us to extend that grace to other people. So maybe it's time for you guys to have those big conversations today. Maybe it's time for you to extend grace to somebody. Maybe it's time for you to have a hard conversation with somebody. Maybe it's time for you to hype a friend up that's feeling down. Whatever it looks like for you, I just hope that you guys, if you have anybody in mind, you take the steps to show them grace this week. Okay, let's pray. Dear Jesus, thank you for today, God, and thank you for your gift of grace. Sometimes we might be in moments where we might need to call some people out and lead those real friends back on the right track, or maybe we're in a place where we might need to have grace and be led back on the right track. No matter where we stand, I just thank you for the grace that you have given us. So I pray that we're able to accept that grace if we are in a place where we feel like we need it, and I pray that we learn to extend that grace to those who need it around us. And I pray all these things in your name. Amen. Okay guys, I hope you guys have a fun and amazing week, and I'll see you guys next week.